scientific.
Okay, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all on behalf of ACCA on this exciting webinar on dashboard reporting using Excel. My name is Khurram Khan. I'm your facilitator on this particular webinar. We will be learning different techniques of dashboard, different features of Excel that facilitate us in developing the dashboard, the concept of dashboard, the model of dashboard. I forgot one thing. I have to introduce my helping hand, Mr. Junaid Khayyam. He will be taking your questions in due course of time. If you have any question, please do type on your question box, and we will try to answer those questions. Right?
We do some housekeeping also, because there are many affiliates who may be attending a webinar for the first time. So we have to tell them where should they type the questions, what will be available, and then there are handouts.
This is unit 2. Yes. This is unit 2.
Okay, thank you very much. I've just switched on my camera so you can see me now. Harun Ahmed Jan, as you may all already know. Welcome to this session. We have our very famous trainer, Khurram Khan, our expert on Microsoft Excel, with us. So just because this session has been announced for affiliates and members, the session is in a huge gathering. We already have about 330 participants, and we can only accommodate up to 500, which is my worry. 500 people attending, but there are only 500 that we can accommodate in this session. Others will have to watch the recording. Number one. Number two, for those who are attending a webinar for the first time, you may notice that there is a pull-out menu on the right-hand side of your screen, and you will clearly see a right arrow or a left arrow on top of this menu. So if you expand the menu, which is you click the left arrow, you will get different menu options, which are file options, view, help, etc. Which are file some options, which include sharing, webcam, audio, dashboard, attendees, etc. Some options. The most important one for all of you in here is the questions dialog. So if you double click on questions, it will open it up. Okay. Any questions that you want to ask the trainer, you can type here. Okay. Just as you type the question and submit it, we can automatically see it, and our colleague Junaid, who's present here, he's going to read out those questions during the question answer break. We will read out those. So only during the question and answer break, we will ask Junaid to ask those questions, and Khurram is then going to answer all those questions. Okay. I think this is a 4-hour session.
Yes.
We will take prayer and tea break at around 6 o'clock. 10 minutes, and then we will resume, and then the session will continue till 8 p.m. Okay. I think with that, I will hand over to Khurram. Just a few further announcements that came to my mind. We will be working on different. So Khurram, our trainer, he has prepared those spreadsheets, and there's some data available in it. Right? So he will be demonstrating different commands and preparing different dashboards using that data. These data sheets or these worksheets are available to you through the handouts option. So once again, if you look at the sub menu of GoToWebinar, the second last option there would be handouts, and it should say 4 of 5. So if you double click that, you will be able to see the 4 handouts that we have uploaded. You can download them, and as Mr. Khurram continues to work on these worksheets, you can try to replicate or repeat those commands on your own computers also for your practice. So that's how you will be able to keep pace with the trainer. Anything else? I am sure you will be able to ask questions. We are continuously looking at the questions that are coming in. We can answer them as we go. I hand over to Mr. Khurram at this point, and let's very quickly get on from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Harun. Okay. Okay, let's take an overview of what dashboard is and how Excel helps us in creating those dashboard. Okay, fine. Okay. If you read those slides, these are very simple and straightforward. We know that every organization uses some sort of dashboards in the form of summarized report or charts to have an insight of their business status. So primarily, dashboard provide the summarized data in the form of a diagram, which is the key information for the stakeholders. And with the help of that, they can easily grasp what is in the data and what is actually the current status of their business. Dashboard provides high-level information quickly to the decision makers so that they can draw meaning out of high-level information. We all know that as human, it is very difficult for us to look at the data and draw meaning out of it. Our mind is developed as such that we are very good in making comparison. We are making patterns. We are looking at the patterns and we can understand what that patterns means. So dashboard will provide such a diagrammatical representation in the form of patterns so that we can identify and draw the meaning out of it. Whereas Microsoft Excel is an excellent tool that helps us in creating very, very interactive and attractive dashboards. It has excellent features. We will be using formulas, functions in order to build those dashboards. Right. In this particular webinar, these are some of the following features and the functions. For example, we will be discussing and understanding and implementing ranges, which is the name range. Then we will be focused on charts, then data validation feature, if then conditional formatting, pivot tables, form controls, and some of the basic features such as removing duplicates, etc., etc. And whereas the functions, there are lots of functions that can be used in building a dashboard. So some of these are here, some ifs, if, VLOOKUP, choose, and there are some other functions such as HLOOKUP. If we find such a question to build a specific type of dashboard or a data model, and if we see that that particular function is required, we will be using that function as well. Now, what dashboard is? A dashboard is a visual interface that provides at a glance views into key measures. So key measures, that is the important word. There are tables, Excel tables contain hundreds of columns, and some of the columns having a very, very important data, such as revenue, such as profits, such as discounts, etc., etc. And that might be the key information, along with the certain dimensions, such as in a particular region, maybe the city, maybe the store, or whatever that is present in the Excel sheet. So we will need to identify the important keys the columns which provide the key information for the decision maker, right? And we will be developing data models on the basis of these key measures and key dimensions. And we will be utilizing those models in creating a dashboard. So in nature, dashboard is a graphical in nature, providing visualization that helps focus on attention the key trends, comparison, and exceptions. The function of the dashboard is to communicate critical information to your audience, which are your stakeholders, so that they can understand what does it mean, comprehend it, and use that information for their decision making. Now, how we can build a logic for the dashboard is quite simple. We need to first identify the objective, that what is the purpose of the dashboard is. If we be able to identify that, then it is quite easy for us to build a dashboard. Now, this is a process of developing a dashboard. If you can understand it, we only require some of the Excel features and the functions to model our dashboard. So first is deciding objective of dashboard, whether it is informative, whether it is interactive, right? And then on the basis of that, identify the key measures and the dimension, so that we can build a data model. Then we will be using certain features and functions to build a data model, and then creating charts on the basis of that data model. Then once the data model is developed, then we will be use appropriate charts in order to represent the data model graphically, and then we look into that how this dashboard is presented. One thing is for sure, that rest of the task is quite simple. The most tedious part is that how you want to present your dashboard. You need the aesthetic sense, you need your imagination in order to develop the styles of your dashboard, right? Now let's very quickly go through the charts, since we will be presenting our data in the form of charts. So there are many types of Excel charts, so I will be only focusing few of them which are commonly used in various type of dashboards. The first one is, let's see what is a chart. We humans are not good in understanding data, I already told you. We are good in recognizing patterns and making comparison. We have already discussed that. It is difficult to infer meaning from the data. We all are experienced of that. That if there is an ample amount of data presented in front of us, we cannot determine or we cannot understand the whole of the data. So it is easy to deduce data if we present that data in the form of a picture or a chart or a graph, so that we can determine the meaning from the data. Chart is the diagrammatical representation of numerical data. We all know that. We can understand the data better through charts, and charts provide a way to find hidden meaning in the data. So there is lots and lots of hidden information in the data. So if we present the data in the form of charts, that hidden information that comes obvious in the form of comparisons and a different type of trends and patterns. There are, as I told you, that there are many types of charts. So these are some of the basic charts. One is the bar chart, the line chart, the pie chart, the bar chart, and very, very quickly go through these four types of charts. Bar chart, we all know, are used to compare things between two different groups or to track changes over time. So this is the example, the figure shown of a bar chart. Then we have a line chart. Line chart again are used to track changes over short and long period of time. When smaller changes exist, the line graph are better to use than a bar graph. So if you look at the line, this is a trend that shows that the sales are going down and so is the profit. A pie chart shows the proportion of a whole. It is, if we look at one entity, for example, the profit that comprises of a different a product maybe, that pie chart will be used to present in the form of either the percentages or the actual amount that a particular product generates in the form of the pie chart. Then we have the bar chart. Bar chart is another way of presenting the column chart. Column chart is horizontal. This vertical, it is horizontal, right? And let's conclude this presentation and begin with our actual show. Okay, one thing before starting, you will be given 3 Excel sheets in the handout section of the webinar. We will be discussing these things. We have the first one is the data sample. The second one is name, range, and sum ifs. This is I will use to clarify the concept of a name range and how we use a sum if function. And the third one is the projection. So we will be utilizing these function, the spreadsheet in this particular webinar. So let's begin with the data sample. Okay, so in this particular workbook, we will have 2 sheets. One is the sample data and other is the data model. Let's focus on the data first. Okay, fine. Whenever we have to develop a dashboard, or we need to look into the data, that what data is for, what data speaks. If you look at this data, we need to understand this data in a particular way, that this data is maybe representing some sort of a sale transaction. It has different columns. One is the date. It means that on that particular date in the region of Punjab and in that region, the city name Sialkot, the printer is sold. The unit price is 10,000 and that cost our company of 5,000. 5,000 is the cost per unit. So we have actually spent 5,000 in order to produce or to sell this printer. The quantity is 3 and we have earned a profit of 15,000 on the basis of 3,000 sales. So this is the transaction data, and we need to look into that what other thing that this particular data has. So if you look at this particular column, we have, it states it's a region. So maybe there are more regions in it. We have 2 regions. One is Punjab and other is Sindh. And in these particular region, we have different cities and we have multiple products. So these are LCD, printer, and monitor. And we have some other data. So once we have identified that this is the data and this is the transaction data, now we will need to decide that what is the key information that we want to present. Okay, now there are 2 things that we need to look into. One is known as a measure and other is known as the dimension. Measure means that measure represents that column that consists of a numerical data. So cost unit, quantity, unit price, all this is the okay. This is all those columns which contains a numerical data. These can be termed as measures. So these are the measures. And what measures related to the dimensions, we need to look into this. For example, in this particular case, region is a measure. I want to, region is a dimension. So I want to look into the regional profit. I want to look into the city profit. So region, city, or product that contains the uh, non-numerical data, and these are the dimensions, and I want to memorize, I want to measure these dimensions. For example, I want to see what is the total sale of in the region of Punjab. So it means the total sale, I am measuring sales in Punjab, or I am measuring profit in city. So that we need to look into. We need to identify the measures and the dimensions that will form the basis of our data model. Okay, for example, we need to look into uh, the regional profit. So if that is our objective and that we want to present in the form of a chart, that what we need to do, we need to decide that how this is to be presented, number one. And number two, we need to create a data model for that particular, in order to meet that objective. So what it means that in this column, in the region column, we have two regions. One is the Punjab and other is the Sindh. It means we want to look at the profit in these two particular region. So we need to create a model. First of all, we need to type, say, a region, and then we have, for example, Punjab, and then we have the Sindh. So these are the dimensions of the region. So I want to look into the profits in Punjab and in Sindh. So then there is another total profit, for example, and then what I need to do, I need to calculate the total sum, total profit with respect to Punjab and total profit with respect to Sindh. Once I calculate that, I can present that data with the help of a chart. So at the front end, we have the chart. At the back end of the chart is the data model, and at the back end of the data model, we have the data. So this is actually in this particular example, we have the three layered system. So there are three layers. At the top level, we have the dashboard or the chart. At the back end and in the second layer, we have the data model, and in the third layer, we have the actual data. So the actual data will be summarized in the data model, and that will be used in creating the charts or the dashboard. So once it is clear now that this is the three-tiered system, we need to now look into that how we can create the data model. Now there are different ways to create a data model. I will be discussing few of these. If you look at the next sheet of data model, these are some of the tables, the data models that I have created. I haven't put any functions here, but we will be creating, if you look at this particular data model, we have the regional summary report, which, and the measures are cost of goods sold, then the discount, then the sales and the profit. And this data model will provide the summary of the region sale in the city of in the Punjab region. There are 4 cities: Sialkot, Gujranwala, Faisalabad, and we are looking at cost of goods sold, discount and sales, or maybe the profit later on. And if we want to present the product summary, so we need to create these, and similarly the rest of the data model. So we will be filling all these. For example, this is here we will have, in this particular selection, we will be using different functions in order to extract data from the raw data from the sample data sheet, and it will be done through maybe the sum function or maybe the sum is function. So let's see how we can apply the sum function in order to create the summary from the data. Okay. In order to facilitate the process of using various type of data, I have created another very simple sheet that will help you in understanding the concept of a name range and then sum if function, because I believe maybe majority of you understand sum if function, but for those who are unable or they are not familiar with this function, we need to have to look on this. Just for the time being, minimize this sheet and open the sheet with the name range and sum if function. Okay. This is the sheet, and in this particular sheet, I will show you how to create a name range, and then how we will be using name range in the function. And then I will be discussing what is a sum if function and how we can generate a summary using the sum if function. For example, without using a name range, I want to calculate a total sales, So in order to calculate the total sale, what I need to do is I need to use the sum function, and which all of you are familiar with. And then I need to provide the range. So in this particular example, this is the range that starts from B2 to B18. So this is the range that contains the data of sales. And if I press enter, I will get the sum of the total sale. And similarly, if I want to calculate the sum of profit, so what I need to do is I need to use the sum function, and then all the range that contains the value of the profit, and then I will have this total profit. Now this is one way of calculating the sum or using the sum function. Now there is another way, which helps you a lot in simplifying the process of writing a function. Now look at this. We have this particular range that we have used in the total sale and in calculation of the total profit. So what I will be doing is that I will be using a name that represent this particular range. So this is actually B2 colon B18. So this range is B2 colon B18. So instead of writing B colon comma B2 colon B18, instead of writing that, I can use the name of the column, that is sales. So there are two ways to create. So I will be using, first of all, a simple method. So select a range and then go to the name box, which is in the formula bar, the leftmost of the formula bar. If you put your pointer on that box, you will see the screen tip with the name box. Click that and just type sales. And similarly, select C2 to C18. This is, and I want to represent that range with the name of this column, which is the profit. So now in order to calculate the total sum of say total sale, I don't need to use B2 colon B18 or for the profit C2 to C18. I just need to type the function, and then I need to type the name, which is sales. And sales, if you look at here, it is automatically highlighted. So I'm using this name range in the sum function. So if I click enter, so this is the sum. And similarly is sum, and then then we have the profit. This is the second example of the name range, and once it is done, and now it is calculated. So this is the difference. If you look at here, we have calculated total sale with the help of the range, and we have done the same thing with the help of the name range. So the sales, this is the name range that represent this particular range, right? So this is what the name range is and how it is utilized. Okay, now I will be using the second method, and that second method you should use for creating name ranges. This is a very, very simple method. The method I've just used, it is for small data set. That can be used for a small data set. You can use it for the small data set like this. If you have very small data set, maybe 4 or 5 columns and maybe 20-25 rows, this can be done. But if you have the data that consists of thousands of rows and maybe hundreds of columns, this is inefficient way of naming the range. Now the method I'm just showing you, demonstrating, this will be creating name range in a flash of a second for all the columns. Now look at here. I have two name ranges. One is profit, right? And one is the sales that I have created manually. But I want to create a name range for this as well, right? So one way is to use the older method, but now what I will be doing is that I want to create name ranges for these three columns. Now let's see how we can do that. But first of all, that the name ranges that I have created, I want to delete it first. So in order to delete those name ranges that we have created, you need to go to the formula tab, click the formula tab, then in the define names group, you have name managers. So if you click that, this will allow you to either create a new name range, edit it or delete it. So right now we want to delete these two ranges that we have created. Okay, we have closed it. Now, once it is deleted, look at this name. So this is deleted already. Now this will create an error. So once it is recreated, this will be this will calculate the sum of the sales automatically. Now let's see how we'll go about it. First of all, you need to uh, select all the data. Either you can scroll down or there is a shortcut key for those who have the numerical keypad on their system or their laptops. They can use control static. I'm just writing selecting the region, data region, if I may call it, data region. The shortcut is this control key and the static key. So if you hold down the control key and press the static key, the whole data set will be selected. You need to select one of the cell of the data set. So look at this control static and the data set is selected. But for uh, uh, those do not have a numerical keypad on their keyboards or their keypads, so what they need to do, they need to do Control Shift 8. So if you look at the key 8, there is a static in it. So what actually I'm doing, Control Shift static, I'm pressing Control static. So Control static is the shortcut key of selecting the data set. So first step is selecting the entire data set. So we have just selected, and then what we need to do, the second shortcut key is Control Shift F3. Control Shift F3 will be activating the dialog box for create name from selection. Now in this particular data set, what we want to do is we want to use the column names for the name range of the range that is underneath that name. So what we need to do is we need to select only the top row. So create name from values in the top row. What it means that the top row region, sales and profit will be taken as the name ranges for the data underneath that names. So if I click OK, and you will see here in the name box, I have three different name ranges. And if I select one of these, right, if I select, for example, the profit, so this is the profit, this is the region, and this is the sales. Okay, so once we have done it, now let's go to the second function, which is the sum if function. Now what I will be doing is I will be using these name ranges in the sum function so that we can create the summary of the region in terms of the sales and the profit. So in this particular example, our dimension is region and its values are XYZ, ABC, and PQR. And in the sales and profit, these are the measures, and we want to create a summary. So what we can do is simply just select these in and copy it here. So region XYZ, ABC, and PQR, and we want to have the sale and the profit. Now in this 6 columns, we need to write a function that will create a total sales in XYZ, total sale in ABC, and total in PQR, and similarly for the case of profit as well. We have just used the sum function, so sum function can be used only to create to calculate a sum of a particular range. So what it does, it will take all those values irrespective of the region, different values. So what we want to know is that in XYZ, for example, let me highlight all of XYZ value. So for example, this, similarly, all XYZ, this is the XYZ, this is the XYZ, this is the XYZ, and we have another XYZ. So what I want to do is, I want to sum only these values in this particular column, in this particular cell. So what I can do is, I can use some ifs function. So I will be using some if function. This function is very important, very critical in order to build data models. We need to understand this function, and because we will be using this function again and again. So that is why I'm putting more effort on this. Once it is clear, then it will be quite easy to build a data model and creating different types of dashboards. So first of all, let's understand what sum function will do. Sum ifs is a conditional sum, and the condition is that in the region of XYZ, I want to add this value. If this condition is met, I want to add this value. So I'm directly using, without explaining the syntax of the SUMIF function, I'm typing the SUMIF function. Now, first of all, this is the sum range. It is the range from few of the values will be added based on certain criteria. So in this particular sales case, we have the sales. This is the range. This is the range from which I want to identify these highlighted values. Based on the criteria ranges, in that case is this one. So if I select all of these, I have the region. So I need to select or just to type region. So this is the region. I want to set what condition in this particular range. So I want to set XYZ. So this means I want to sum all these values in this particular range based on the criteria, and the criteria is that in this particular range, all those values which are equal to XYZ. So if I enter it, then I will get XYZ equal to 869. And if I drag it down, and you will see, I will have the values with respect to the region. Similarly, if I get the total, for example, the total, it should equal to this. is equal to, for example, sum of these two values, these three values, and you will see what I have, 2678, 2678, which is actually the total. So this is all summary with respect to different values of the regions. So similarly, what I need to do, sum ifs, then the sum range in that case is profit. So profit, I want to add few values from this range, and then I need to type region, and the criteria in my case is XYZ, and then if I click OK, then you will see what will happen. So this is the summary of profit with respect to region, and this is the sum this function is all about, right? So I hope that you have understood this sum if function. But once we have one criteria, there are times that we have to add some of the values based on two or multiple criteria. So what we need to do is, if you look at this, if I just use is equal to sum is function, and if you look at here, this is the sum range, this is the criteria range 1, criteria 1. So simply what you need to do is you need to set the specify the criteria range number 2, then criteria number 2, criteria range number 3, criteria 3, and so on and so forth. Just you need to type the range, the criteria, the range, the criteria, and so on and so forth. And when you press enter, all those values that specify that particular criteria will be automatically summed up. So that's it. Now let's go back to this particular sheet, which is the sample data, and now we will be using the same concept in order to calculate the total profit from Punjab and from Sindh. What we need to do is, let's go through, repeat those processes. But first of all, let's see if there is any name ranges already present here. So click the formula tab, go to the name manager and see that we don't have any. This is one way of checking it. And the second way is that if you click the drop down of the name box and if it is empty, it means we don't have any name ranges here. So repeat process, select all the data set by clicking Control Shift Static or Control Static, and then Control Shift F3. So Control Shift F3 create name from selection, and somehow if you forgot this particular shortcut key, you have the formula tab, and in the defined names you have the create from selection. Once you select those, this dialog box should come up, and then select the top row, uncheck all others and click OK. Once you do that, and you will see we have all the name ranges with respect to the column names. Now the task become very, very easy. Is equal to sum ifs. We have one criteria, one condition, which is region is equal to Punjab. So I want to calculate the total profit within the region of Punjab. So my sum range is profit. Then I have the criteria range is the region, which is I need to type region here, and then the criteria is Punjab, and this is how it goes. And similarly, if I just drag it down, this will come automatically. So this is the profit of your region, which is Punjab and Sindh. And if you want to say get the total profit, a total sale as well, so the task becomes very, very easy, very, very simple. Total sale, what you need to do is equal to sum ifs, and then we have the sum range is now sale. Sales is the sum range. Then we have the criteria range, which is region. This is the criteria range, and then we have the criteria is equal to Punjab, click enter, and we will find that this is the sum of total sale in the region of Punjab. Okay, now by doing this, we have just created one very simplified data model, and that is, in this case, the dimension is region and the measures are total profit. So once we have created this particular data model, based on that, we can create a chart. There are different ways to create a chart, but right now I'm using a shortcut key, and that shortcut key is Alt F1. I've selected this, then press Alt F1, and that this is the chart that I have just created. Right, so this is the chart that is based on this particular data model. So we can create these mini data models, and then with the help of those data model, or based on those data model, create multiple types of charts, and accordingly if we need to arrange all these charts, and our data dashboard is created. And I hope you should have understand that how the chart is linked with that data model, and that data model is linked with. So these are the three layers that I have talked about. That your dashboards, whatever dashboard you will be creating in this webinar, this is the front end. The back end of this chart is that data model, and at the back end of this data model is that data, right? And we need to identify the dimensions and the measures. Once we identified those, and then we need to use specific functions in order to create that data model, and on the basis of that, we can create the charts. So these are the basics of the dashboard, in building the dashboard. Now let's move to some other versions of the dashboard. For example, we need to create some other type of dashboard. We need to set objective first. Okay, for example, I want to create a a dashboard which have two measures, two dimensions. One is the region and other is the city. And I want to have an interactive dashboard. What does it mean? It means that I want to look into only the Punjab region. And in the Punjab region, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 cities. So in these 4 cities, what is the measures? So measures are, for example, the sales and the profit. If I decide to use these two as my measures in these two regions, so now I've decided a region will be used as the interaction. So either Punjab or Sindh. If I select Punjab, all the data from that particular sheet will be calculated with respect to the city of Punjab. Now, if that is the case, if our objective is this, that we need to create a data model of that. So in order to create the data model of that, let's go back to let's create a new sheet. And in this sheet, okay, in this new sheet, from this data model, select for example this data model, Control C, and then okay, Now this is actually, so what we want to have, we want to have maybe the total cost of goods sold, total discount, and total sales. We want to have these measures with respect to Punjab, and these are the cities. So I need to cut these. I need to say maybe the type type region, where type region in that column. So just to make it, okay, this is the place we want to type region. So let it be Punjab. So if it is Punjab, then here should be all those values of Punjab should come. And if I type, for example, Sindh, so what should we have? We have in this particular model, we should have okay, apparently it looks okay, fine, let's do it. If we have Sindh, we should have all those values of Sindh comes up here. So this is a bit tedious data model, but we can do that. So in order to do that, we have two different conditions comes up. One in the case of region and other in the case of Sialkot. So what we can do is, first of all, let's calculate, apply the function which is the Sindh. For example, sum ifs. What we want to sum? We want to total goods of sales. So since we have already created the name range for this, just types COGS. Sum ifs on the basis of which? On the basis of the region. Region is REGION, region. So just do that. This is the region. And the criteria will be in this cell. It is present in this cell. Same. Press F4. I hope you know what the different types of cell references are. One is the relative reference, other is the absolute reference, and the third one is the mixed reference. I hope you are familiar with these references. This is absolute reference. It means that if I want to copy this particular formula, this B9 will be stays here. So that is why I use B9, because I want to copy this formula to the other cells as well. So that is the reason I have put the $sign here. So in this is the sum range, this is the region criteria range, and this is the criteria. This is my first criteria, but my second criteria is the city range. I just need to type city. This is the criteria range number 2, and then I have the criteria which is city, and its criteria is this one, and that's it. But right now what we want to have is, we want to have the city of present in Sindh. But for the sake of simplicity, what we should do is we just type Punjab over here so that we can see that our function is right or not. Okay, fine, that is okay. So what we have done, we have just used the sum if function in order to calculate the cost of goods sold with respect to the region and the Sialkot. And if I drag it down, and then what we'll see, you will see that I have all those values with respect to Punjab and other city. And similarly, if you use sum ifs function, and then now the discount is the Maya. This is the sum range, and the criteria range is again the region, and then I have this A15, and then I have the, no, this is not, this is, and then I have what you see, F4, function F4. So make it fixed, and then I have the city, and then we have the cell code, and that enter, click OK, and that's it. And that drag it down. Now what I'm doing is I'm deleting this. I'm taking only 2 Mayas. So this is our basic data model is created, but it lack interactivity. What does it mean? If I type sin, for example, if I type sin, it will give me a 0 value. Why is that? Because the conditional specified in the sum is function is not met, for a very simple reason. In the city, in the region of Sindh, we don't have Sialkot, we don't have Gujranwala, and so on and so forth. So what we need to do is we need to uh, develop another model, specify or modify our model so that once Sindh is selected, we should have all the cities which are Karachi, Gujranwala, and so on and so forth. So what we can do is we can take the helping hand of, for example, created. If I say we have to use the if function. For example, I need to look into type here if this is sin is equal to SIND sin, then we have, for example, Karachi, else Lahore. So what does it mean? I'm using here just to see that if I have two options here, if value present here is sin, then this cell should contain Karachi, and if it is Punjab, then it should contain Lahore. So I need to, okay, for example, let's do it. I think, okay, now this is sin, and if I type Punjab, you will see what will happen. We have Lahore. Similarly, I need to do this for Gujranwala and Hyderabad is equal to if this cell contain Sindh, we have Hyderabad, else we have Gujranwala. Okay, is there anything? If B9 is equal to Sindh, then we have Gujranwala. Okay, fine. There is a problem here. So you need to put this one. Okay, that's okay, fine. Again, we need to put star. Okay, Gujranwala, Punjab, we have this and we have this. Let's see what data we have for the Sindh. We have Sakkar and Karachi. So what we need to do is we need to use is equal to if that cell contain Sindh is equal to SIND Sindh. Then we have Hyderabad, right? Hyderabad and comma Faisalabad, FAISLA. Faisalabad, and then we have okay. So again there is something okay. Again we have same issue, and then colon here. I think the spelling go wrong. So Faisalabad, FAISLABAD, it's fine. I think that is the case. Okay, fine. And the last is here is what we have. We have the same thing is equal to if we have this cell is equal to SIND Send, then we have the last one is Sakha, and what we have here, we have the Lahore. So this is Lahore. So if I type Sindh, SIND Sindh, so you see what will happen. So there is in that case what Hyderabad, okay, why to Hyderabad here? Why to Hyderabad? Karachi, spellings are wrong. What is the third one? Nawab Shah. Okay, one is Nawab Shah. So in that case, it's Nawab Shah. For example, let it be Nawab Shah. Nawab Shah. Okay, so Punjab, PUNJB Punjab. I have this model. If I type Sindh, SND Sindh, I have SIND Sindh. So now we have just created our data models. It is an interactive data model. An interactive data model is that data model where the input from the user is required. So we have putting either typing Sindh or Punjab, and our data model is calculating their functions accordingly with respect to the condition specified. And on the basis of that, what we can do is we can create a mini chart. Alt F1, these are the chart, and if I type Punjab, what you will see that this is, and if I type, I want to use that name. So the one way is select the chart title, then click anywhere here in that box, and then go to the formula bar, type here, type equal to sign, and click this cell. And what will you will see if you type Punjab, Punjab will come here, and if you will type SIND, Send, and you will see your dashboard, your chart is changing. Now, there is still a very small problem in that particular dashboard, and that is that the input that the user is typing here, sometime it go wrong, there's a typo error. So it is better to do something that does not require the typing. We can create a drop-down list in this particular cell, in that we do have only two options available. One is Sindh and one is Punjab, and if we select one of the option, well, either Sindh or Punjab, then the data model changes and so is the chart. Now let's see how we can create uh, a drop-down list here. So let's see. We have this. We need to select the cell on which we have to create the drop-down list. After the selection of the cell, go to the data tab, click data, then go to the data tools, and we have the data validation here. Click the data validation and you will see the data validation dialog box comes up. In the setting tab, we have the allow what? Allow list. So in list, what you need to do is type the source, and the source is, one is Sindh and the second one is Punjab. So Punjab, Punjab, and click enter. Once you do that, we have the button here, and then we click. Okay, there is a problem here. I just need to modify it. I don't need to use these colon here, inverted commas. So data delete once again, and here just type Sindh, comma Punjab. So once you do that, select Sindh, and you will see your bars are once again coming up. And then we have the Punjab, and then we have another way of doing this stuff. I hope you have understood this concept. What we need to do is very briefly, let's summarize what we did so far. Whenever we need to create this sort of a dashboard, it's a very simple dashboard. We can create multiple data models for multiple charts. I can have, for example, I can have right over here. For example, I want to have the Punjab summary, I want to have this summary, I want to have that, I want this, blah, blah. Whatever information that I want to put in my dashboard, what we need to do, we need to create the data models for it. So we can create these data models, and on the basis of that, we can have multiple charts, and multiple charts will be shown right over here. So for example, we want to have the product summary, the total product summary, then we have the Punjab, and then we have the Sindh. And similarly, we want to have the regional product summary with the help of this. So once we select Punjab, all this comes up, all this comes up, and the charts that is created on the basis of the data model will be amended automatically. So again, the three layer, one, the charts, maybe 1, 2, 3. If you have one chart, one data model, two chart, two data model, three chart, three data model, four chart, four data model. So you need to create a small data model for each of the chart. In order to develop a data model, you need to identify that what sort of information that you want to put in your data model. Then you need to use the aggregate function with some other features as name ranges. And once you do that, you have the data model, and you will be utilizing the data source. In that case, the sample data, the raw data, and from the raw data, the relevant data is extracted using some of the functions, maybe sum is function, maybe average function, maybe count function, the type of information that you want to put in, and accordingly you need to select the specified function. And once you do that, by using those functions, the specific data model will be created, and on the basis of that, you will create the charts, and putting them all together in different sheets, in one sheet, and your data model is created. Okay, maybe what we can do is we can create two charts from this data model. So we can split the data model into two, although it is right over here. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a data model. For example, I'm creating one chart for this. Okay, now look at here. So I have just created one by using a shortcut key is Alt F1. So what I will do is I will putting it here, but I need to modify this. So what I'm doing is 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to put Lahore, Gujranwala, Faisalabad in this here. So once I select the chart, then go to the select data. You have in that dialog box edit, click edit, and this is the data source that you will be selecting. And if you click OK, now you have one that is cost of goods sold. And similarly, you can create another table, other chart, Alt F1. This is another, put it over here, and again modify it, select data source, and then here we have, and click OK and click OK, and you will see what will happen. Okay, now this is represent the Punjab and this represent the Sindh. So you will see there are different ways to format these charts. We can align them, we can use different formatting feature. For example, very quickly I will show one or two. Maybe I want to I want to format the background of this chart. So I just need to select this, the chart area, right click, and we have the format chart area, and we have fill option here. You can check the gradient, and you will see your chart is the background of the chart is formatted. And similarly, you can do it for this as well. Format chart area, and then gradient fill, and it is done, right? So this is the way it is. I need to close it down, and then now send, and we have Punjab. Now see what will happen. Whenever I select the Punjab or the Sindh, your chart will be changed automatically. So I think we have a question time here. So we have completed one part of it. If you have any question, we will have a question time.
Send in the question on the box.
Question box. If you have any question, please feel free.
We have a few questions, and there was one question: why use some ifs? Can we not use some if?
Okay, we can use some if function if you want to, but some functions is more dynamic in nature. We can have incorporate multiple functions. So that is the reason. Sorry?
Nested is not the same thing.
Nested if.
Nested is not the same thing.
Nested
is something else.
We
need to use
a function with the sum to make the function or the formula more complicated. So instead, okay, it is a matter of preferences. If you want to use the sum function, you can, but remember, sum if function only be used for one criteria, only for one relationship. Whereas sum if function is used for multiple criteria. What you can achieve through sum if function, you can achieve with the sum if function. But what you can achieve with the sum if function, you cannot achieve.
You mean to say that if you require, you need to put in multiple conditions in one sum in one if condition. So that's very
yeah. So sum ifs for multiple condition, but still it can be used for single
condition
criteria. But sum if is only meant for one criteria only.
So there is another question by Mohammed Bilal saying that why haven't you used pivot table for such formation?
Okay, fine.
That is, as per him, that is relatively easier.
Okay, fine. Actually, this webinar consists of 3 phases. We have just completed the first phase. Just to creating a background of what
pivot table is coming out.
And one of the advantages of using this that we have understood or we can understand the concept of developing the dashboard. That is number one. Simultaneously, we have also learned few of the functions, few of the techniques, right? Some of the usages as well, right? And sometimes the data source is split by layers. So that is the main reason we have done this. Pivot table, the traditional pivot table requires only one data source. There is only one data source with the help of which we can create the dashboard or the data number, right? And yes, indeed, you are rightly said that pivot table is much easier, no doubt about it. But when you have multiple data sources, for example, your data is divided in multiple sheets. For example, one sheet is created in Punjab, the second one is for say Sindh, the third one is elsewhere. It is different at different locations, right? So how to consolidate all these? So this particular thing will help you out how to consolidate data, how to extract data from various data sources into one. And then on the basis of that data model, you can create your dashboard. So that is the reason we should know these concepts. So I repeat, the only difference is the pivot table is meant for one data source. You can create, you can visualize, you can do everything you want.
There is another
On the basis of single data source, but we have multiple data sources. We can handle multiple data sources.
Okay, fabulous. There is another question from Ijaz Mazhar. He's asking, can we show cost of goods sold and discount in single chart?
While again, one initially I just said that what we need to do first. The first thing is that we need to set objectives of our dashboard, that what we want to put in our dashboard, and accordingly we need to build we should develop our data. So yes, if the requirement is that one unit at once, we can. Yes, we can. So we can use these two cost of goods sold. We can use profit here. We can use sales here. So it again depends on what you want to do, how you present it. So you need to develop a strategy for it, and then you need to plan it, then you need to implement it. And if your objective is that in one chart you will have concepts stored or different. You can put all these in one chart, or you can look at separately. So it all depends on how you want to display to present your charts.
Okay. There's another question I just missed the name, but it's for something uh, like what is the purpose of freezing any terminology in the Excel?
Freezing?
Then we put the dollar sign.
Okay. Okay, it is the concept of referencing. Okay, well, in Excel there are three types of referencing. One is known as the relative reference, which is the default. The second one is the absolute reference, and the third one is the mixed reference. So I have used relative reference and the mixed reference. When you use an environment, when you use it depends on the logic of the function and implementation and its use. For example, in this particular case, if you look at here, that I have fixed B9, right? I haven't put A15 here. So in this particular function that I have used in say B15, I have written this function in B15. I use two references mode. One is the absolute reference, putting the dollar sign on the column and the row number, and then I use the relative reference. That is without the dollar sign. Once I copy this formula, the relative reference will be changed. If I write it down, A15 becomes A16. A16 becomes A17 and so on and so forth. But if I copy this formula and look at B9, it will stay B9. Why I put B9 here? Because I want to use this value in this particular function. Now, this function will calculate the cost of gold based on two conditions. One is the region is equal to Punjab, and in the second case, the city is equal to Lahore. But if I go down, you see A15 from A16. So A16 is Gujarat now, but the Punjab I want to use Punjab and Gujarat. So the dollar sign function will fix the position of the cell within a function. And if we copy this function elsewhere, this will stay at the same location and will be utilizing that value in the function in order to calculate the result. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, perfect. There's another short question from Harun Habibi saying, isn't it more beneficial to use tables instead of naming the ranges?
Okay, yes, why not? We can use those table features. Okay, one of the reasons I have not used the table because the audience that I have, I assume I've already said that the majority of the people they may be very good in Excel, right? But for those audience that who have a little exposure or Excel functions, etc., and they use it as a background knowledge in order to apply these functions. If I use tables, the nomenclature or the application of the function will be relatively complex. So what I need to do is I need to specify the name, then the bracket, and so on and so forth. So for those, it may be quite troublesome, maybe complex to comprehend the very nature of the function. So I have used this concept not using tables because for those only those who are not familiar with the table. So that is the only reason I am doing it. Yes, you are very rightly said that by doing this, we can utilize the table feature that makes the database more dynamic. So in this particular case, that is the flaw. We want to do something more to make it more dynamic, right?
Okay, so perfectly explained. We are done with the questions for now, and I guess now we would be taking a namaz break of 15 minutes, and inshallah we resume the session in about next 15 20 minutes.
Namaz break, Maghrib namaz will be at 10, there are 10 minutes away, right? So let's have a break of about 15 minutes then.
Fine.
So I think 15 minutes, let's resume our session. We will begin with the pivot table, and some of the participants have rightly said that pivot table it will be so easy, and you will see that it is quite easy and you will love it, you will enjoy it. After the break, we will be having a session on pivot table, and then we will be using certain features, which are the control forms, to make very elegant dashboard. So let's
So catch you everybody at 6. Let's make it safe. Because some people are saying that we have only but 5:50. So let them read namaz as well.
okay, fine. We will be. Oh, okay. We will be resuming in about 20 minutes. That is 5 minutes to 6, right? We will just take a note of what pivot table is and so forth. But I think we will start the session at 6. We will be resuming in about 20 minutes, right? Thank you very much. Thanks for participating.
Break.
Okay, let's welcome back. Just we have offered up prayer. We have taken something to energize ourselves. So let's resume. Okay, before the break, we have done the basics of building the data models, the building of the dashboards, the concept of what this concept is all about. And now we will move towards the second phase by using another very important and interesting feature of Excel, which is very powerful, that is the pivot table. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, that uh, pivot table is the one limitation of pivot table is that it is meant for only one data source. So we can build data models that is only from that data source. And the good thing about this particular technique that we have just used before the break, that we can use multiple data sources to construct our data model, right? So let's begin with the pivot table. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm just deleting my sheet. You can also delete if you wish, or you can, uh, if you don't want to delete, do that. But what I'm doing it, I'm cleaning up my sheets. So this is the table. Okay, before I just mentioned that the pivot table is very exciting, very important feature, and you can do wonders with that tool. Primarily, pivot table is a summarizing tool. It can be used as a data reporting tool, it's a presentation tool. You can do a lot of things with that. But before that, utilizing this feature, what we need to do is we need to again look into the data. The data need to be have in a particular shape, in a particular manner, and what it means is that your data set uh, must conform to certain rules, and those rules are very simple and straightforward, and that is that your data must be rectangular. Means it must be in the form of rows and columns. This data is in rows and columns. We have, and the second rule is that your each column must contain a column label. So this data set have the column labels, the data, the date, the region, city, all are the column labels. The third rule is that your uh, um, any cell of this data set can must contain some sort of value. Should not be null. It should not be zero. Uh, what I mean is that if this is the case, there is no data in this particular cell. It means that although the pivot table will be applicable, but it does not provide the accurate answers. So we have to have all the values, all the cells filled with the data, right? The pivot table is derived from databases, and there are certain terminologies that we will be using in constructing the pivot table. And one of the terminology is a field. So each column that we will be using in this feature, that is we call a pivot table field. So we will be manipulating the pivot tables fields to go here and there, provide different ways, methods to produce different types of pivot table reports. The pivot table reports are actually the data models for the charts. So we will be developing very quickly uh, different types of data models, and we will be creating charts on the basis of that data model. And again, we have certain other features of pivot tables with the help of which we can create, we can generate the interactive dashboards, by selecting the appropriate options, the charts or the data model will be changed automatically, right? Now let's see that how we can go about it. Okay. Uh, One thing that should be clear that this is a webinar, not on pivot table. So some of the features that I will be use, you might be familiar with those, or you might not be familiar with those. I will be only stating through the concept of that how we'll be using the pivot table in order to construct the dashboard, right? So in order to create a pivot table, what we need to do is go to the Insert tab. But first of all, we have to have one cell selected so that the Excel will automatically select the range. So then after that, click the Insert tab. Then we have the table group, click the pivot table, and then you will see you have the create pivot table done. Other box here. So we have some of the options here. One is select a table order range. It means that if we have a table, we can select that table. If we have a specific range, we can select that range. And since we have selected one of the cell of this particular data source, Excel have automatically selected this entire range, and that will be served as the source of creating the pivot table. Now, the second one have external data source where the data is maybe in other databases, elsewhere. We can connect with that data sources and on creating pivot tables on that data. So right now, select this, and we have two options. One is the new worksheet, and second is the existing worksheet. It means that where you want to uh, create your pivot table. So if you click new worksheet, what will happen? New sheet will be created, and we have the layout of the pivot table comes here, and the pivot table we have just mentioned earlier. The name of the columns appears here. E- Every pivot table has four places here. Each has a specific role to play. This is called the filter area. We will not be using the filter part, but we will be using these three things. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, that in creating a dashboard, we need to identify the measures and the dimensions. The dimensions part will comes either here or on that part, rows or columns. These are the format for the dimensions part, and the value part is used for measures. Means that if we want to create a summary of cost of goods sold, we want to put right over here a base cost right over here, and the summary will be created automatically. And similarly, if you want to say generate a report based on region, we want to put region here. So region is the dimension, and the cost of goods sold is the measure, and the report will be here. And on the basis of that, we can create whatever chart that we want to create. So let's very quickly create a very simple uh, pivot table, and on the basis of that, create uh, what you call the chart. So we will select, for example, the product. If I click product, this is the this is my dimension, and in this dimension, it has these four values: laptop, LCD, monitor, and a printer. And if I want to say what will be the cost of goods sold, this is the cost of goods sold. Once I click that, it comes automatically. By default, all columns that contains the numerical values will be placed right over here, and all those columns that does not have numerical value will be placed automatically here, unless and until you want to switch from rows to columns or column to row. So this is the report that it is created. what we'll be doing is we will be selecting this, and now I want to create a chart here. Whenever we have created a pivot table, we have two different tabs coming up, which are the pivot table tools tab. And with the help of these two tabs, we can manipulate the pivot table, we can modify it, we can do a lot of things with these tabs. One of the feature is that we want to create a pivot table chart. So the chart that is created on the pivot table is known as the pivot table chart. If we select the pivot table chart, so this is the pivot table chart, and I want to create, for example, this chart, and like this. Now see what will happen. The chart is created. We can similarly modify it. We can format the way we formatted the earlier charts, right? That is not a problem. But we have created a simple data model, and from that data model, pivot table provides us a facility of the pivot chart, and the pivot chart is automatically created with this data model, and the chart is created. Again, this is a three-layered approach. We have the data on one set. Then on the basis of that data, we have created the data model based on our objective, and the chart is created on the basis of this data model. So the three things that we should know in order to develop your dashboard. Okay. Now, if we want to create multiple charts, or maybe the interactive charts, maybe. For example, I want to create one that I created before the break. So first of all, let's delete it and put the sort of interactive. For example, I want to look into the cost of goods sold with respect to regions. So what I can do is I click the Analyze tab, and I go to the filter, and here I have one thing which is known as the Insert Slicer. If you click Insert Slicer, again the pivot table field is coming up. Select one of the dimensions that you want to analyze the data with. For example, region. Select region, click OK, and you will see this thing is coming up. So you can modify it, something like this. You can okay, this is the thing. You can resize it. You can with that option. This is called the slicer. This is the slicer, and these are its options. And if you click, you can. It has one column. You can move it to two columns. For example, these are two columns. So we have two columns over here. So you can manipulate the rows and the columns and stuff like this. You can control the height. For example, this is the height of the button inside the slicer, and this is the width, right? You can increase or decrease the width, or you can change the height and the width of the slicer. For example, I want to increase it, so you see it is increased, or if you want to decrease it, you can decrease it. So these are the different ways to handle your slicer. The designing of the slicer, for example, we have different built-in slides. For example, I want to do this one, so it is changed. So you have multiple themes for your slicers, that whatever thing is good or say aligned with your organizational theme, you can use one of those slicer styles. Okay, once it is done, right? And if I select Punjab, and you will see the thing has changed. The values of things are changed. If I sync everything is changed. And if I use this one, your the total of cost of goods sold of each product will be shown again here. Now, click here if you want to reappear your cash pivot table toolbar. Click the Analyze button, then the Pivot chart, and then select any one of the chart that you wish to present, and you will see. If I select the Punjab, then I will be having this thing, and if I use this same, this is the same value. But the good thing about pivot table is that you can add multiple slices. So, click the Analyze button, insert slicer, and now in that case you can go for example, the city, and click OK, and you will see what will happen. Recreate it, put the slicer somewhere here. Okay. Now these two slices are interlinked. Now interlinked means if I select Punjab, only those cities will be active which are in the region of Punjab. And if I click Send, only those cities will be active which belong to Sindh. Look at that. If I click Punjab, what will happen? So first of all those that cities which are linked with Punjab will be highlighted, and it will allow us only to select either Kashtawar, Punjab, or Sialkot. Similarly, is the case with Sindh. So if I click Send, all the values that are related to Sindh automatically comes up. So what I will do is, if I want to look at a particular city, the performance or the cost of goods sold at which particular city, for example, Hyderabad, if I select Hyderabad, you see in the region of Sindh and in city Hyderabad, this is what the cost of goods in Hyderabad with respect to various type of products. Okay. There is another thing that you can add another slicer. So as many slices that you wish you can add, so we should add at least one more. Analyze, insert slicer, and this time we will be using the date. Okay, if I click date, multiple date will come up, but this is not we will be looking at because we want to put their data in terms of years as well, but then we need to put it dates into a form that it should present the way. Okay, let me show you one thing, but this time analyze, and let me show you the insert timeline. Okay. Insert timeline, date, and click OK. So look at here, we have this another slicer that we just now I have more space. Now we have one end region, then the city, then the date. If you want to look this data set or the table with respect to date. Now what we can do is, this is actually the month presentation, but say 2006 July, what happened, no, say in 2006, if let me have this thing in terms of years. So if I I have 2006 data. So in 2004, I have this data set. In 2005, I have this data set, but in 2006, I have only sold monitor. But what you can look at in Punjab, okay, what happened is that in Faisalabad only we have sold this much of So this, with the help of this, you can investigate your data, you can look your data from the various perspectives. This is one of the good feature of the pivot tables. Now, what we will do is we will create multiple data models using the same data source. Then we will be using a single slicer, then connect all of these slicer, and then what we will do, we will create different pivot charts and our dashboard will be created. Now let's see what I mean. Let me delete all of these. I don't want to use it. I don't want to use it. Similarly, I don't want to use it. Cut and then cut it. So I have one dimension that is the product. This product can have multiple measures. One is the sum of cost of goods. It can also have quantity. It can also have discount. It can also have sales and profit. So from this particular data set, we have identified that there are 5 different measures of a single dimension, and that is the product. So what we can do is we can create 5 multiple small data sets like this. Go to sample data set, insert, click pivot table, and then repeat the same step. Apart from that, new workbook, select the existing workbook. Click, then provide the location, and the location is this sheet number 2, and maybe 2-3 columns, and then click OK. Okay. Now we put the product here, and then this is the quantity, and you will see another data model is created, and that is with the measure quantity. Similarly, you can either you can repeat, or what the easiest way is select this data source, Control C, Control V, and we have another data source, but this time instead of quantity, uncheck it and put the sales name. And let's create one more with the same thing. We have Control Shift this thing, Control C, and from this Control C. And instead of sales, let it be profit. So what we did, we have now 3 different we have 4 different mini data tables. So what you can do, you go to analyze, then pivot chart maybe this one. So we have just created one for this data source. So make it a bit small so that can fit in somewhere. Use this one, analyze, then select this one. This chart is for this data source. Now the chart that I want to create for this data source, select that data source and cell, and then analyze pivot chart. I have this, and now the second chart is created. Align it, maybe make it a bit bigger. We have space. So align it properly. Just do that. We have now select this one, go to analyze, select another one. So this is the fourth one. We have here, and select this one, analyze, and then we have pivot chart. and this is the code. So we have all four active charts. What we want to know is we want to put slicer to make it more interactive. So click, analyze, and analyze means analyze slicers. We want region slicers. We want uh, city slicers, and we want to. Okay, that's okay. So these are the two slicers. So what you can do is you can use option slicers to make it maybe four, uh, one, two column, three column, four column. Okay, I think that should be. Just realign something like this. Put it back somewhere here. Tired. So that is the most tedious part in aligning, resizing, setting up the thing. Okay. Another slicer, we have to put it there and analyze. We have to insert timeline. This one, click OK, and insert, analyze, insert timeline, delete, and click OK. Oh, we have already done. We have it here. Okay, put it here. Right to. So, it's now this is something we have it here. But you see, this thing is only changed. If I click, for example, same, this changes. If I select this one, this changes, but there is no impact on the remaining data source. I repeat, this is okay, and it has this slicer or this slicer has an impact on this chart because it is connected with this. So look at Punjab, this is changed, the value of these have changed. If I read these, the values have changed. Now what I'll be doing is I'm connecting each and every slicer with the charts. So how we can do that? We have options here, and then we can click here, and somewhere pivot connection. We have four types of pivot table. Pivot table one, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. What we need to do is just click this thing, this, and click OK. Now you will see what will happen. This is selected at my. So if I click these, now Punjab, same, these are selected. Which one is selected? I think this needs to be done for connection. This is also need to be connected. This will also need to be selected. The option, go to the port connection, then it is already done. Okay, fine. I hope I should work. Why all three are not working? It's okay. It's okay. Everything is, it is connected. Okay, so we have everything in place. Punjab. we have the same data source, isn't it? Karachi, same, done. Okay, everything so far is so good. Faisalabad, Lahore. Okay, now you see, this is how it should work. Again, the same thing, the data model through pivot tables, and from pivot tables, we did the slicers, and then controlling the slicers, using the slicers to control or to filter the data models, because and since these charts are based on these data model, as the values changes, you can have the charts changes automatically. So this is what it is, using a pivot table in order to create your charts. Okay. Uh, okay, yes, everything is connected. Fine. It just going fine. Okay. Pivot table is an excellent feature. It's, you see, very simply, we have used this feature to create very quickly the tables from the one data source, multiple pivot tables, which will be act as a data table. And from that data table, we have created the charts. We can format this chart as desired. Then we use the slices to provide the interactivity as we did in the drop down list in the first session before the break, right? So when this thing is completed, your data, your dashboard has to be uh, created by them. So again, find out, develop your objective, create your objective, then based on that, create your data tables, and after the creating the data tables, provide the interactivity, and the desired charts will be created, will be designed on the basis of data model, and place it uh, either on a separate sheet or along with the data, whatever is desired, you can do that. So this is the second phase of our a webinar. Now it's time, if you have any question, it's question time on pivot table only.
So far, there is no question related to pivot table. If there is, guys, if there is any question, please ask us. I think for some we should proceed further. There is no question related.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's brilliant. It means that our audience are very intelligent. There are two things: either they knew it already, right, or this is simple enough, right? Okay. Okay, fine. Let's move to the third part, which is again specific features we will be using along with certain functions. Let me close this thing. Kindly open another workbook with the name projections. With the name projections. Okay, right now it is blank, but this sheet with the name projection is the data that we are dealing with. Okay, let me clean this a bit. Okay. Now we have, these are the 5S projections that somebody has downloaded from the web, and I have used it in one of my training sessions, and now I'm using it here. This is the three statements, the profit and loss statement, the cash flow statement, and the balance sheet statements. These are the some of the key variables, key values, and the data along with, sorry, this is the data we have with the certain key variables extracted from PLS, CF, and BS. Now our objective is to use this data in order to put in some sort of a dashboard. Again, we have this data, process is the same. We want to extract the data from this data source, making it as a data model, and creating a dashboard on this. Now we have different strategies. Now we have different features. In each sheet that we have with the name in it, drop down, we have multiple drop down, we have combo, we have list box, we have spin box, check box, option button, etc., etc. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have different options available with us. So what we will be doing, we will be using this data in order to drop, and I think we have done it already in our previous session, creating a drop-down list. But here we have the multiple drop-down list. Let's do this thing. I'm leaving this drop-down. I'm not developing the dashboard something on this sheet because we have already done before the break. So let's go to the multiple drop-down. In one of my webinar, I have, once I've created the drop-down list and the webinar finished, I have received almost 20 emails asking one very simple question, that how can we create a multiple drop-down list? Means based on one drop-down, in the second drop-down we have some sort of list. What actually I mean is, for example, in one drop-down I have PLS, CFS, and BS. If I select PLS, only these value will come. If I select CFS, only these value will come. And if I select BS, only these value will come. So what we will be doing is we will be creating some sort of a data model based on the multiple drop-down list. What we need to do is we need to create a validation list. For example, we have, say, financial statement type, forget financial statement type. Then just type PLS, CFS, and we have the BS. So PLS, profit and loss, cash flow, and balance sheet. So what we want to do is, in the multiple drop-down list, just set select type of financial statement. For example, we want to have here something like this, okay? In this column, we should have that values, PLS, CFS, and BS. So select this one, go to data, go to validation, select list, then become the source, and this time select this one and select these three values and click OK and we have the drop-down list comes here. So PLS, CFS, and BS. Now what we want to have is, based on this value, PLS, we should have in other drop-down list all these values. For example, if this is PLS, we should have only these values. So what we want to do is, first of all, let created a key. Key means a name range based on this. So select this, go to one. This is already done with the PLS key. So PLS key, PLS, and the key is, so if I select PLS from that drop-down list, these value will come. I have selected that range and I have given the name PLS key. Similarly, I have done it for this thing. This is the CFS key. And similarly, if I've selected all of these, and this is the BS key. So what I will do is select an option, for example, select option. If I select PLS, only those value will come which are here. So what I will do is go to here, select this one, select data, then we have the data validation, and go to list, and here in source we need to construct a very simple formula which is of nested if. If it says the formula should, the logic of the function is such that if in this value the value is PLS, the name range will be PLS key, and if the value is CFS, then it will be CFS key, and if it is BS, then the name range will be BS key. And if it is selected, if it accepted, we should have the corresponding values in the second drop-down list. So let me write a function. If this cell contain a PLS, then we should have the PLS key. PLS key is the name range. And in that name range, we will have the specified values that we want to be displayed in that drop-down, comma. Then the second if in that cell, the value is CFS, then the name range will be what? CFS key, else there is no need to use the third option because we have only 3 values to operate with. So we have used 2 for PLS and CFS. The third one will come automatically, which is the BS key. Then enter. Okay. Oh, T. This is the key. This is actually, I have done it wrong. This is a typo error. It is done now. Now, if I've selected PLS, the option will be net sale, cost of goods sold, net operating income, operating blah, right? And if I select the CFS, all those values which are those beginning, cash, the 4 values that we have. If we have BS, then this is the populated one. We have all the key values in the balance sheet stuff, right? So this is how we should be using the multiple drop-down interlinked with each other, and based on this value, the value of the second drop-down list will be changed. So in order to just make it more appropriate or more visible, just do it like this. This is, make it a little bigger. Make it this one, then it is none. Okay, so this is more visible. Same format will apply here. Format painter, then we have select option, and here we have format painter, and do it here. So now this is done. Wrong, something is gone wrong. Make it like this. Okay. Now what we'll do is create a model. We need, what we want to do, we want to have this thing. Something like this. So select one of the thing here, put it somewhere here, a bit above, not here, here, somewhere maybe here. Okay, now this is for our x-axis, and use this option here. For example, we want here, is it workable? Yes. Come on, PLS, and what we want to have? We want to have, for example, net sale from this. So we want to have all the values of net sale right here. What we can do? Now we need to use the VLOOKUP function or some other function so that the desired value comes here. Go back to the projection, make this whole a range. I think it is already done, which is known as the PS data. It is the BS data, right? It is the CFS data, and this is the BS data. So we have PLS data, CFS data. So we have created a range for this. So as we did earlier, so we have divided this data set into 3 different ranges. So what I want to do is, I want to create is equal to VLOOKUP. What I want to find, B22, and I want to make it fix. I hope you now know what is meant by fixing the row. Shift. Is equal to VLOOKUP FN F4. Select this one, FN F4. Okay, done. We want to fix it because I want to look this value, and then after completing the function, I want to copy that function all along. What I want to know, I want to use net sales is from PLS. So what I want to do is, I want to find this value in the PLS data. Okay, it's done. Then I need to specify the column, from which column I want to retrieve the value, and that is column number 2. Then to make it an exact match, I want to put 0 or select false, and then click OK. What I will get 4, P3, and if I do this, I want to do something. Okay, Since I have used 2 here, everything net sale 2 second column are coming up. Look at this net second volume, second in this particular data source. In this particular data source, which is the PLS data, this is the first column and this is the second column. So I want to retrieve this value from this data source, which is against the net sale. So I've used the VLOOKUP function. But I want to have 2006, 7, 8, and 9 data as well. So this is in the third column, this is in the fourth column, fifth column, and sixth column. So I want to use a little trick here, although I can do it in a different way, but for the sake of simplicity, I've just typed 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, 5 here, 6 here. This is just a trick, right? Sometimes it is recommended, sometimes it's not. I've never used it just for the presentation purposes. I might do it, but instead I want to, I use some other functions to do it automatically. Okay, so what I'm doing here, instead of 2, I've selected this value, C23. So in C23, I have 2, so this should represent 2 here. So it means that it will yield 423. And if I copy it down, I've copied it all the way. So 4, 300, this, everything is come up, right? Now the data model is not complete as yet. But for example, I want to use this control shift, right? And I want to create one of the data table, and I want to modify it a bit, just to put the years here. Okay. Okay, it will work fine till all the values of cost of goods sold, right? It works fine till here, but whenever I select the other one, CFS, now I have some other values here. For example, cash inflows, it will give me an error. So why is that? Answer is very simple, that cash inflow does not exist in PLS data. Instead, it exists in CFS data. So we need to modify this formula. So what we need to do is we need to put if function once again, and the same type of function that we have used in the data validation. So if this, in this cell, if in this cell, shift, what's wrong, it's not working. In this cell, okay, if in this cell, the value is equal to PLS, then we will be using this formula, comma, again, if in this cell, shift F4, F and F4, if in this cell the value is, sorry, PLS data, okay, if this is in CFS, right, we will be using this VLOOKUP function. The same function, we want to find this thing, we want to have comma, now we want to have the CFS data, then we want to use this one and 0. So we have done this, VLOOKUP function is completed. This is for PLS, this is for CFS. If these two conditions are met, if this is met, this will done. If this is false, it will go to here, and if it is false as well, move to the third one, and that is the we look up this value once again, make it, fix it, comma, then we have the BS data, and then we have this thing, and that's it. Then we have this, and we have, I hope it's done, and let it be like this. Now, simple as that, everything is done. So if it is, for example, PLS, there is no value of PLS, we need to select right from here net sales. So we have the net sales. If we want to have, for example, something from the BS balance sheet, select balance sheet fixed asset, for example. So this is the fixed asset. So this is how it works, right? So you can use the multiple drop-down list to extract data, and you can use it accordingly, right? I hope that's fine. Similarly, what you can do is you can use it. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm modifying it a bit. Instead of one, I want to compare two data items from each of the data source, either from the BS or CFS or the PLS. So what I can do is, since I've already created a data validation in this cell, I can simply control, copy it and paste it somewhere here, for example here. So select, just type select second option. Select other another option. Select another option. Now I have two things. What I can do is I've used this here, for example, fixed asset. We have two fixed asset. In fact, I want to compare it with the total asset. Okay. So what I want to have is I want to have the same formula for total assets. So I can do that. Simply what I want to do is I have copied it, values same, just want to change a bit. Now in that case, we want to look into this is B22. I want to use this value, right? This is B23. So this is B23. So just need a little modification to 23, and that's it. I want to have A2. If we do the PLS, we look up B23. B20, I want to find this one. This is the PLS data, C2. Okay, the problem is with this. So this is actually the problem. In every case, I need to do. This is A. What is the value here? In this case, we have 25. 25. I need to put I've done 25 here. I need to done 25 here, and I need to done 25 here as well. Now it goes right. So if you go along, all the done, and now I want to add another design select data, and now I want to add the total asset as well. So here is total asset, and here are these values. So this is how you can go about it. So that is the comparison of two elements from extracted from a particular data source, and you can manipulate it. So this is the multiple drop-down list. Okay, fine. Now moving towards the combo. Not combo means the form controls. So this is altogether different. This is a different feature, but it requires the knowledge of some functions that we need to do, and we have already done that. Only we need to control the form controls. So what we need to do is, first of all, there is one thing that you need to do. You need to activate developer. Please let me know that how many of you have this tab here. I need to show them if someone hasn't have this developer tab. Please let me know that everyone has this developer tab. Just type your comment on the message box, please. Everyone has?
No, there are many people who don't have it. I suppose you should just.
Okay, fine,
how
fine.
we should-
I'm just clarifying it. Okay, fine. So what we need to do is we need to put this developer tab first in order to use the control form. So in order to have this in the tabs, what you need to do is click the file tab. We have somewhere have the options. In the options, we have the custom ribbons, and the custom ribbons, we have somewhere select the popular commands here, main tabs, and we have the developer tab. What you need to do is just click check that. If I uncheck it, click OK, and you will see my developer buttons tab is gone. And if I want to make it back, bring it back. So options. So go to the customized ribbon, and in customized ribbon, I have this developer tab. I need to click OK and click OK. So we have the developer tabs comes in. So if that developer tabs come in, I hope all of you have it now. Okay, fine, that's great. Now, if you click the developer tab, you will find somewhere here a control group. In that control group, we have something insert option. In the insert option, we have two other options. One is known as the form controls, and other is known as the ActiveX control. So in the form control X, we will be using these things, right? ActiveX control will give you more power and the energy for formatting and stuff like this, but we will be using these things. So if you click here, you will find the combo box, you will find the check box, you will find the spin button, you will have the list box, then you have the option button, and still you have one thing more, and that is the scroll bar. And in that sheet, there is no scroll bar. We can use that option as well if we want to, or if the time permit, we will definitely do that. But first, go for the combo box. Combo box is almost identical with your drop-down list, right? So in order to create the combo box, what you need to do is repeat all this, click the developer tab, go to control group and select the insert. And in the insert, you will find the second option from the left, and that is the combo box. Click that, your cursor will change, and your cursor, use that cursor wherever you want to put. For example, I want to put my combo box right over here. So I have use it, and I have this. Now, this is just a combo box. We need to control it. Now we will be controlling it. So all the all your dashboard will be linked through this keyboard. Now we have the data source at one end. We need to create a data model which, technically speaking, is controlled through this combo box, right? In order to make it effective or functional, we need to select, first of all, we have selected it, then we have to right click it. Right click, we have the form controls. Once we have the form control dialog box should appear. And now we have two options here. One is the input range and other is the cell link range. Cell link range is the important thing right over here. Means that everything is controlled through this cell link. So first of all, use the input range in order to provide all those values that you want to be in our combo box. So input range may be, for example, if you click that and go to projection, we want to have these values, for example, or only these values in our combo box. Click that, and I want to link my combo box with one of the cells, so I click it, and for example, A1 is the cell that is linked with this. If I click OK, now what will happen now? What will happen now? If I click my combo box, all those values which were there now comes here. This will be shown in this combo box. It is almost identical with the drop down list. So if I select any of the options, so this is the 1, the 2, 3, 4, 5. If I select one in A1, I will get 1. If I select 1, I will get 1. So if I select 2, I will get 2, and so on and so forth. Right? So this is, so if there is a hierarchy, whatever comes first will be labeled as that number. So we have 5 different values. If you select any of the values, when according to the order, it will be shown in that cell. So if I select net sales, and if I want to be say have the values of net sales, from this cell I can control it. Let's see how I can do this. Okay. This is the cell 1. Repeat this process once again. For example, these are the values that I want to put it. This is the combo box. I want to create this. Control V, and I want here to be my net sales. So what I need to do is I need to use a very simple formula, that is choose function. Choose, CHO, choose. Now what choose function will do? Choose functions has multiple parameters. One is the index number. Index number means that this might have multiple numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for example, A1 is the cell that contains different types of number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Based on this value, what I want to be placed in this particular cell, I want to have net sale, go to the projection and just type net sales. So based on value of A1, we want net sale, which is projection C8. Just type comma, then the second value, comma, then the third value, comma, then the fourth value, comma, and then the fifth value, and enter it, and we have done it. So we have net sales because you have selected net sales, and this is the first option. So we have 1. So we have 2. So we have cost of goods sold. This is the second option, and this is the third one. This is the fourth one, and this is the fifth one. And the rest of the tasks become easy, because what you need to do is you need to use the VLOOKUP function. VLOOKUP function what we want to find, you want to find this one. Again, you need to fix this F4, comma, from this, it is the PLS data. This is the PLS data, comma, from the second column. Then we have the 0 and then OK. But again, what we need to do is we need to carry it along. But since again we have the same problem comes up because second value, third value, fourth value. So what we need to do is put 2 over here, 3 over here, 4, 5 and 6, and use this in a cell reference, which is this one, and that's okay, that's fine. And that is actually the case. We have operating expenses, whatever, net sales, we have cost of goods, we have blah blah everything, and just what you need to do is select it, then press Alt F1. We have created a chart, design it, select data, and then use this as your value, click OK, and we have the cost of goods sold. So if I have our net operating system, I have net operating system, so on and so forth. So this is what the combo box is all about. You can use this to extract values. You need to extract extract values through this link. Now move to the list box. List box, the difference between the combo box and the list box is that in the combo box, the values are the required value that we want to see is listed in that. The desired value will be selected. And the user doesn't know that how many values do we have here in that list. Although we can do that, but if the list is too long and the user want to have a look at all the values, this option might be inappropriate. But instead we have the list box. In the list box, we will have all the values listed in that list box, and it will be shown. So what you will do that, use the developer tab, go to insert link, then you have the list box. This is the list box. Then you have just created the list box. This is your list box, and again repeat the same process, form control, and you have input range. Input range is the same or maybe different. Use the same range. For example, this is the range, click OK, and cell link is again this one, click OK, and you will find all those values are shown right over here in the list box. It is normally used when we have the majority of the values exist in that particular list. So if I select sales, look, this is 2, this is 3, everything will be controlled by this thing. Again, I'm just taking these values, right? I'm copying it, Control C and Control V, right? So what we need to do is the projections reference is actually, let me do it again. So let me do it here. Combo box. So what I want to do is this is I want to fix it here 4, and that's it. I guess it should work. Control Shift 8, Control C, and I have list box. Put it here, and we have these values comes up. No, it choose A1 projection. Okay, do it again. We have A1 go to here, either this, comma, this, comma, this, comma, this, comma, this, enter, and we have all of these. C19, what we want to look into. We want to, okay, we want to move a bit further. Okay, fine, I guess this will do. Is equal to VLOOKUP. What we want to find, we want to use this F4, comma, this is the PLS, okay, PLS key, we want to have 2, comma, 0 worked, what the reference? PLS data. Okay, find as what we did in the previous. This is what we need to do. We need to select this thing, comma, 0, and that would work. So as we select any of the values will be changed automatically, and that is, you can build the chart based on this. Now the spin box. Now let's do it in a different way. Spin box, let's first of all draw the spin box. This is the scroll ball, this is the spin box. So I have just developed a small spin box, this button. Whenever I click up and down, the values will be changed. So right, form control, and we have the current values. We have, I guess, 2005 is the current value. Then we have the minimum value, which is again the 2005. Then the maximum values according to the data set is 2009. Increment change is 1. Whenever I press 1 upward or downward, the values will be incremented by 1 or decremented by 1. And the cell link will be, maybe this is my cell link. Oh, I have 2005 as my year. So what I want to do is, I want to have this data, right over list spin box. Okay, so I want to know what will be the 2005 data as this, but I need to compare it with 2006 as well. For example, 2 plus 1, 2006. So I want to extract 2005 data and 2006 data based on the spin button, right? If I click, look at this, values changes. If I do that, the values changes. So I want to extract the data right from this based on this. So what we need to do, we need to write some function that will extract these values. In this particular case, the value that we want to extract are listed row-wise. I want to extract this data, right? I want to extract this data, for example, and it is in a horizontal way. So instead of VLOOKUP, I should use HLOOKUP. So again, we have spin box, use is equal to H lookup. What we need to find, we want to find this, make it F4, comma, then we have what data, use this one. We want to have this data. Okay, this is the data. And from this data, what we want to extract, make it shift F4, and we want to get first row, second row, and this is how it should work. So we have this value. Again, the same problem that we have, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So instead of using 2, use 2, column 0, and we have this data set along with us. Okay, similarly, you can HLOOKUP. HLOOKUP, what you want to find this, make it fixed, comma, we have this data set projection, this is the data set, make it fixed, this is fixed now, then we have a spin box, this is the cell reference, comma 0, and we have two values extracted. Okay, we have now two values extracted. If I upward, it will be increased, and if I do that, it will be increased. What I can do is I can create one for Alt F1, one for this one, and one for another one. This is the second chart. I can put these values over here. For example, this is equal to this value. Enter, and equal to this value. Or if you want to provide certain more values, so we need to design, select, then edit, and give this a range, and we have, okay, so this is how it goes. You can use this for second option as well, and now if you click that, you will see what will happen. The value will be changed according to, this is the spin button, right? If you have any questions so far, this question time, still we have 2-3 things to go. But before that, because these are somehow related concept, combo, list box, spin box, something similar, but the remaining thing is a bit different. So till now, if you have any question on the control box, control forms.
Yes, there is one question from Rafia Arshad. She's asking about the difference between VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP.
Okay, VLOOKUP is a vertical lookup and HLOOKUP is the horizontal lookup. It depends on the data, the formation of the data. Sometimes our data is organized in such a manner that it is only be extracted through horizontally. So in that case, we will be using HLOOKUP. Otherwise, there is no difference whatsoever apart from vertical lookup to horizontal. So in vertical lookup, data is extracted vertically, and in HLOOKUP, the data is extracted horizontally.
When the data is designed or placed in an
okay, if the similar data is transposed,
then we use
then you
HLOOKUP.
should use horizontal. Simple as that.
Is there any more question, guys?
Okay, my audience is intelligent.
There is another question from someone. He's saying that why don't we use match along with VLOOKUP to automate the process?
So that is another option. So this workshop, this webinar is for somewhere the intermediate users. So if I use the index match function, I have to spend almost 30 to 40 minutes only to explain what is
Exactly,
the
index
combination.
match.
So it is out of the scope of this. So that is why I've used this a trick. I've already mentioned that I'm using a trick to automate. Normally, I won't use it. Instead, I use the index match function. So I've already mentioned earlier. So this is only the trick that, okay, for example, okay, just hang on. If someone doesn't want to have these numbers displayed, there are two options, either to hide it or select all of these and make it white. The color is white, so now we don't have any number here. So this is another trick, right? So if any other question? So we have two more things to do.
Yes, there is one question from Sayyid Nazim Abbas. He's saying that is there any amalgamated formula of VLOOKUP and if any bigger formula for performing both functions together? I guess you have explained this before. You've done this before using if and VLOOKUP together.
Yes, yes. Okay.
I think we are done with the question. We should proceed.
Okay. Just referring to this question, but it is meant for everyone. Remember one thing: function is meant to perform certain basic level thing, right? It is up to the user's logic that will provide the power to that function. In the case of, for example, if you using only the index function, it is meant for to perform a specific task. But if you match it with index function, the power of both function will be enhanced almost exponentially, right? So it is up to the user's logic how he or she use it. Maybe I've used this function because my audience, I've keep my audience in my mind that I've used a very simple functions, the normally used functions. I haven't used the complicated functions, right? So it is up to the user's logic how he or she uses those functions in their logic. Okay, now two things are left: checkbox and option button. Okay, sometimes we want to view two, maybe three key factors, and we want to show what a key factors on the chart. And similarly, we want to see by selecting one of the option. For example, if I select three options, for example, revenue, sales, and maybe profit. So there are three different factors that I want to put in my chart, but at times I want to see an impact of net sales over profit only. So what I will be doing, I will be unchecking the sales thing, for example. So this checkbox is a little bit versatile, that you want to see the impact of some feature, some variable, and if you don't want to see the impact of some variable, just check it or uncheck it. So that is the feature of checkbox. So let's see how we can do it. For example, again the developer tab, then the insert, we have the checkbox somewhere. This is the checkbox. We have one checkbox here. This is the checkbox, right? Either you can repeat this process. For example, let me do it once. Checkbox. This is the checkbox. Again, redraw the checkbox, right? Or what you can do is we can control and we can copy it. So we have three different checkboxes, right? You can select all of these by control, right click and right click. Then we have the format, just align it. align to the left. So all aligned. You can just, what you can do is, select this and this, format it, make it more visible. For example, something like this. And what features that we want to put in? We need to, for example, go to the projection thing, and we have we want to see the net sales, cost of good, and maybe the income. So we want to look into the net sales, cost of goods sold, and net income. So what we will be doing, checkbox, we just need to edit it, select it, right click it, or double click. Then we have the edit somewhere, edit option. Okay, edit text. The first thing is, for example, net sales. So we have the net sales. Then we have the other thing, what we want to put in, cost of goods sold, edit text. We have the cost of goods sold, COGS. And the third thing that we want to do is net income. So edit, and we have net income. So this is net income. So we have net sales, cost of goods sold. If I want to see all the three in my chart or in my model, what I need to do, just click, all comes in. And if I check net sale, uncheck, net sale will be gone. So that is actually the purpose. We can format it, we can align it. That is, I'm not saying, but how to use it, that is should be the objective. Now again, we need to do, since this is a form control, we need to control it. This is the form control, and we have the cell link. We have, for example, I want something right in front of it, and click OK, and see if I click, it comes out to be true. If I do that, it comes out to be false. Similarly, repeat it for this thing. Form control, link cell. This actually the case. If you select it, and you see the true or false, and similarly go form control, we have cell link, and we have this thing, click OK, and we have check or uncheck button. Again, we will be utilizing this link cells in order to get the values. For example, we have net sales. What we have years. Let me get it from somewhere, from the list value. Control C, and then we have checkbox. Control V. So I want to have all these values. We have the net sales, and okay, let me put it somewhere here. Okay, I want to have the net sale here. Again, I need to write a formula. Is equal to, if this cell is equal to true, if this cell is equal to true, what I want to do is I want to have a value net sales. I want to have the value net sales. Otherwise, I want blank here. So what I meant here. So if I check it, I get the net sales. If it is unchecked, this is the case. Okay. Similarly, is equal to, if this value is equal to true, then I want a value. What value? I want to have cost of goods sold. Otherwise, I want a blank here. Here, if I want, if this value is turned out to be true, what I want net income here. So you see, net sales gone, cost of goods sold gone, and net income gone, right? So then you should write, say for example, again is equal to if this cell is equal to true, what you want to do is we look up what you want to net sales, make it fix, FN4, and again you need to fix this cell as well. Okay, again, okay, what you want, this you want FN4, comma, and we have the PLS data, and again we want to have comma, say let it be here, and comma 0. So if this is not the case, instead do this and click OK. 2. Okay. So we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, and we have 6. Do this, go for this thing, and again repeat this. So we have is equal to if this cell is, make it fix, FN4 is equal to true, what we want to do, we look up this value we need to find, make it fix, comma, we have the PLS data, and then we have this number, and then 0, this one, if not, this, click OK, and since why it does not provide, if C1, oh not C1, this one, okay, this value, okay, we get this one, and go along, then we have if this cell, make it fix, is equal to true, then what we need to do, go to the PLS data, VLOOKUP, find this one, make it fix, comma, PLS data, comma, this thing, comma, 0, this, else, what we want to do, we want to have this, and click OK. So we have all the value in place, right? So we have, if we have this one, and this one, right? So we have, okay, fine. So what we have done here, if true, we did this thing, let it be. Okay, if it is unchecked instead of false, we have marked. Okay, great. So what we need to do, simply select these value, click F1, we have this thing. Now look at this, look at this, look at this. If we want to only compare with net sale with the net income, now we have only two values available with us, right? And if we want to compare all three, we can compare all three. If we want to compare net sale with cost of goods sold, so this is how it goes. Checkbox is in that regard is unique, that it allows us to hide or unhide the values or the bars from the chart. Now let's start the last thing, and that is the option button. Option button is almost the same, but in checkbox we can have these three things. We can have multiple option button, but it will allow us to only present one set of data. For example, I am using this data set, for example, Control C, and using it for my convenience and putting it as is copy. I'm only using a copy, so this is my data, and I will be utilizing this data. Let it be, for example, make it format a bit. Okay, fine. So I want to use this data in my option button. So again, the developer tab, then you have the insert, then option button. So this is your, maybe put it option button here, your first option button. And similarly, what you can do is Control C and Control V and V. You have now three different option buttons. You can align okay, select, align it, right click, click, format, maybe shape. This is align left. Okay, all done. Again, what we need to do is format control, and we have cell link, maybe again A1, and click OK. And if we have one, we have one option. We have, if you two, we have second, and we have third option. So again, just edit text. The first one is the net sale. The second option is we have the cost of goods sold, COGS. Okay, the third option is net income. So we have three options. Again, we just need to utilize this in order to get what we want to achieve. Again, say if you want to have this thing, we have data. This is the data source. In this particular example, we have this data source. We have, I want to have net sale, cost of goods sold, net income based on this value. So what I will do is I will use the choose function or if function or whatever function I want to use. Choose function. This is the index. If it is 1, then it should display this thing. If it is 2, it should display this thing. And if it is 3, it should display this thing. So cost of goods sold right now, the second option is active, net sales, and then we have the similarly is equal to we look up what you want to find. We want to find this again, F4 comma. Now in this case, this is the value we have. This is the data source again. We want to fix it. comma, again, this cell, comma, 0 and put it. So put it 0 here. So we have this value, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 6. So just go along and we are done. So net income, this thing, alt F1, we have just, okay, make it here, a bit shorter, okay, fine. So this is the data. From this data source, this thing is extracted based on this, and based on this data model, we have created this chart. So if you have net sale, we have net sale, all those values extracted. If you click OK, and you will see what will happen. We have the cost of goods sold, and if we have the net income selected, the net income comes here. Data model changes, so is your chart. So this is what we have to discuss today. Just to repeat the basic concept. The basic concept is very, very simple. We have the data source at what hand, then we have to identify, we need to decide what information we need to present. Then based on that objective, we need to create the data model, and in order to create the data model, we need to decide which feature and which function to use. Once we have created the data model, then we can develop the chart on that data model. If we want to provide some sort of an interactivity means that we want to communicate with the data model. Means to say that we want to look the data from the different perspective. So similarly, in this particular case, this is the interactivity that is provided. I want to look this particular data from the different perspective. So if I want to see net sale, so this is the input that I have provided. I have interacted with the dashboard. So I have interacted with the dashboard. Whatever my request is that I want to see the net sales, right, of 5 years. So I've selected that. From this data source, this data set is extracted, and since we have built this chart on the basis of this, so the chart changes accordingly. I hope that the topics that we have covered today, these are relevant, these are pertinent, and it must be useful. One thing that is for sure that you need to practice these things. Once you practice it, then you will learn it. When you practice more, then you will develop an expertise in it. You will find certain other ways of using these features and functionality. I have tried to be very, very simple, right? I haven't used the complex functions or the formulas. I've simply used the functions and the features, the functions that mostly you guys should know. I've only used to construct the data models, right? But if you still have any comments to make, you can make it now. If you have any question to ask, you can ask question. If you can have anything in the future to ask, you can email me. My email IDs, let me write down my email ID. I'm using two email addresses. One is mkkhan@hotmail.com. Let me make it a bit bigger, right? MK Khan, and I have another is Khurram at talent.org.pk. These are my two email addresses. You can send me your queries. I will try to be helpful. I normally responded in 2 to 3 days, depending on the time that I have. Sometime I have the answers of your queries. I do respond. Sometime I don't have. I will try to find, develop the solution, and then I will email back to you. One thing more that I did in the past, that is I have created one YouTube channel with the name the Talent Development Company, the company that I work for. That is, if you can search the Talent Development Company, let me write it. The Talent Development Company. So this is the name of our YouTube channel. Right now there are only maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe 6, 7 videos that we have uploaded. But if you have any question and you want to have the video on it, we can record that video and we can upload it and you can have a look at it for the future references. I think, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have learned many things, many new things, or maybe for some of you, this is the refresher. Let's call it a day. I'm signing off, but before signing off, if you have any question, Mr. Junaid will be here in a minute, and he will be responding to your messages, and I will try to answer those. Just give us 2 minutes, and if you have any question in the meantime, you can type those messages, type those questions, any comment, any remark, and I hope you have liked this webinar. Maybe in the future we have some other webinars on different topics, all related to Excel as well. Just wait for a minute. Let me. Okay, Junaid sir is here now. He will be reading the questions.
Reading out the question for everybody. So the majority of the question which people are asking that, will the recording of this session be available? Yes, it will certainly be available. After this session, we will send you an email in which we will provide you a link and all the resources, and the recording of the session will be uploaded, so you can definitely refer to that. So we would encourage if you could ask the question related to this session regarding the Excel dashboard training. Any confusions, any queries?
And if there is no questions, I think there are
I
no
think
questions.
people are quite
Right.
genius.
Okay, fine. Mr. Junaid is also of the opinion that the audience is very, very intelligent. and so they are not asking any question. Everything is clear. So thank you very much. I'm Khurram Khan signing off from here. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. God bless you. Take care.